This is Real Generational Wealth. Live from Southern California, this is Abby, Espy, and Jen.
Hi, what's up, ladies?
How are you?
Hello. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Real Generational Wealth, where we have over 50 years of combined experience making sure you and your family always have a place to call home. So today we've got a jam-packed episode for you tonight on how to make you a homeowner in 2021 and how to prepare to buy. So stay tuned. And again, if you are watching this live, be sure to hashtag live in the comments. If you are watching this on the replay, hashtag replay. So what's up, girls? How was your New Year's, Espy?
Well, I had a great time. We had a wild night. I had my friends who are also seniors. One is 66 years old, and the other one, one of my friends is 75. And we decided to have, how do you call that in Filipino? For the medianoche. We had a
What
medianoche
is that?
Pasadena at my friend's house. And we decided to wear our fur coats just to make it feel, a special night. And we had our champagne and wine and had some lamb chops and really nice dinner.
Ooh, yummy.
Yes.
Did you
And
cook?
we had a great time dancing salsa and
Nice.
drinking our champagne and our wine, waiting for the 12 o'clock bell there in New York.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for asking.
What about you, Abby? What'd you do for New Year's?
For New Year's, we slept early, like around 8,
Well, that's
because
always
we had to
good.
wake up early so that we can go snowboarding. Actually, my husband and my daughter's birthdays fall on New Year, so we decided to go to Big Bear and go snowboarding, but it was packed. So we wanted to avoid traffic and just leave early. So that's what we did. How about you, Jen?
I was in Cabo.
Oh, how fun.
Ooh,
Yeah, I was.
that's exciting.
Not gonna lie, I was a little weary about traveling at first. I mean, it was our first out of country trip all year. But I was in Cabo. We celebrated New Year's and my brother's 40th birthday, which was this past Sunday, and it was amazing. It was my first time there. It was beautiful, and it was actually very empty. Like our resort, they said that they would only be at a capacity of 50%, but I felt like it was probably 20%. The pool was empty the whole time we were there, which was great. I mean, we basically had the pool to ourselves, the views to ourselves.
nice.
So yeah, it was nice. It was really great. But yeah, I mean, now that we're here in the new year, we're definitely excited to help all of our viewers become homeowners this year.
That's
I
right.
mean,
Yeah, that's right.
everybody starts somewhere, right? So
Yeah.
do you remember when you first bought your home, Espy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's way back more than 30 years ago when I just, when I was preparing for my license. That year, 1988, was a very special year. So many things happened.
Oh, I was a year
I got
old.
married in the beginning of the year. I broke my right knee. My ACL was replaced.
Oh,
And then I got pregnant. I got my first baby um, in May. And by July, I got my first home with no money
wow.
down.
How
Yeah.
did you do
Wow.
that? Why did you think they did that?
Well, because I had a lot of free time. Remember, I was in disability, right? So I had a lot of free time. I was researching and all this, no money down. And I saw in the ad, there you have newspapers at that time, right? With all the ads. There was a for sale by owner. And so we went there. Me and my husband went there and looked at it. And it was a 3-bedroom, 1.5 townhouse. And this guy, a single guy, tall, Indian, good-looking guy, and he wanted to buy a house up in the hills for 250 because he was already engaged
Oh,
and he
wow.
needed to buy that house. And
Mhm.
apparently he has a VA loan, and VA
Okay.
loan is assumable.
Wow. You
So
know, a lot of people don't know that, but okay.
yeah, you see,
Crazy.
the thing is that I didn't know that either. I
Yeah.
just found out, and he told me about it, that his loan is assumable, and then he suggested what we could do. So because he was so motivated to get out of that mortgage so that he can qualify and buy the 250 house in the hill, I assumed
Mhm.
the loan. We assumed the loan, and I promised him that in 3 months we're going to pay him $15,000. So we assumed the loan. We got the title on the house, and then there is what you call that at that time a Title One or a home improvement loan.
Okay.
So by the time that I got it in 2 months, I gave him his 14,000. We fixed it up a little bit, and then at that time, since me and my brother were going to have a baby pretty much the same time, he invited me to just stay with them in Sunnyvale and rent out the Fremont house, the Fremont townhouse, which we did. So after
Nice.
a year, we rented that house. So we didn't have to pay for the mortgage. The rent was covering the mortgage.
So how
After
much
what?
did you charge
Huh?
for rent, and how much did you charge for rent, and how much was the mortgage?
Well, the mortgage was pretty much covering it. It was about 995.
Wow.
You know,
Oh, not bad.
remember the rates then are high. It was like
Yeah.
9.5%, or. So we were able to
Not
cover whatever needs to be covered, and we were living with my brother, so I still was able to save a little bit money, you know. So after a year, we sold it, made $25,000, and we bought a bigger townhouse, 3 bedroom, 2.5 townhouse for 125. So we put the 25,000 that we made on the first townhouse, put it in the second townhouse, then we moved in to that
Nice.
townhouse. That was the
nice.
first house that we lived in. Yeah.
Very cool. Very
So
cool.
that was the story. How about you, Abby?
Well, thank you for asking. My husband and I bought our first home about 10 years ago. So this was in 2010. Um, first, when we first started looking, both of us were working. I was working as a legal assistant, and my husband just started working as an engineer for Raytheon. Um, so we were paying $900 a month for rent. For us, that was a lot because we just felt like, oh, that's just going to the landlord. Why don't we become homeowners? Like we have pretty good income. Why don't we look for a home? So
Right.
we started looking for a home, and we found this home in West Covina. It was right over there on the Gallus and Amar, by Salo Salo, where everyone used to go. And it was a condo. Like, I love the location, but we needed help buying it. So at the time, I wasn't a real estate agent yet, and we got a referral for this agent, and she took us looking at different homes, but this was the one that we wanted. It was a short sale, and we were just like, every home we would look at, she would be like, "Oh, don't let this go! Don't let this home go!" Like she was rushing us to pick out a place.
She was
But we
forcing
wanted
you.
this one. I think she kind of didn't want us to buy the short sale, but we were like adamant, like we want to get this house. So we went through escrow, and it took months and months, and it was pretty stressful. And we went with this mortgage company that was like an internet mortgage company called Vanguard, and they're not in business anymore. Like,
Mm,
we went through them, and I and this was so I think this was around 2009, like the end of 2009. I ended up getting laid off, and at the
Oh
time,
wow.
I was making more than my husband at the time. So that was a big chunk of the income. He took away
mm,
They had to take away more than half of the income for us to qualify for a home loan.
mhm.
So my husband, the loan got denied, and we were just dejected. We were like, "Oh my gosh, how are we? This is horrible. Like, looking for a house is horrible." So we started our house hunt again after 3 months, and we used a different agent. And this time, my husband just applied for a loan on his own, no debt, very clean file, top tier credit. And we were able to close on our next home in 18 days.
Wow.
So it really makes a big difference, lender that you use and also the agent that you use, because she was pretty good. She gave us different options, and we thought that I needed to be on the loan too, because of my income. But there's different ways to calculate debt and different ways to qualify. So that was in 2010, and we kept the home for about 4 years. And after 4 years, it appreciated, and we ended up selling it for 410. So we bought it for 320, put about 60,000 down, and then we ended up selling it for 410. So we had a nice chunk of change for our next home. Like Chino Hills is a pretty, I guess, I wouldn't say upscale, but it's hard to get into Chino Hills because the home prices are so high. But we were able to buy a home in Chino Hills like years ahead of when we planned to. So if anyone's watching, it is hard to save 200,000, 300,000 for a down payment. So you can always start small, like what we did. Start with a more affordable mortgage and then work your way up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like at that time, our mortgage was $1,039, which is awesome. I would love to have that mortgage again. So so Jen, why don't you tell us about your home buying experience?
So I bought my first place about 3.5 years ago. I'd already been in real estate for at least several years. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of like, I've been selling homes. I'm selling all these kind of homes. I mean, I should be owning my own place already. I was renting for a couple of years at that point. And I told myself when I was 29, I was like, I need to buy by 30. So I started looking, and I actually closed escrow. So I turned 30 in June, and then I closed escrow in September. It was a foreclosure. So it was an as-is sale. I got it a little bit below market, but it was as is. So I didn't get any credits. I didn't get any repairs, but it was fine because I completely remodeled it. I made it everything I wanted. So it's my baby. Like I literally, I tore down walls. I picked up flooring and tiles. Like it's nice. It's everything I've wanted. So, but that's the thing. So now I want a house, and I'm so sentimentally attached to my condo that I don't want to get rid of my condo. Mm-hmm. So I'm probably just going to keep it as a rental and get income that way so that I can buy a house this year.
That's smart. That's how you build wealth.
Right. Yeah. And so, and that's the thing, buying my place at 30, it made me realize I want to help other people. Like a lot of my friends started buying at the same time. And I know there's a lot of people my age who get discouraged. They're like, wait, I'll never buy a place. Like prices keep going up. And that's the reason why, we're all here today, right? To kind of bust some myths and kind of answer a lot of people's questions as to how we can make you a homeowner this year. Yeah. So I want to start with a few questions. The number one question a lot of people ask is, should I even buy? As an agent, of course, I'm going to say yes. But it's not for everybody. I get it. It's scary. It's a commitment. It's a lot of money, and the list of fears can go on. And taking a leap of faith, everyone wonders, what if I fall? But what if you fly? There's so many benefits to being a homeowner. Number one thing is you can increase your wealth. As you pay down your mortgage over the years, your house appreciates value over time. Like you had mentioned earlier, Abby, you're not just throwing away your money versus being a renter, right? And as a renter, you're just paying your landlord's mortgage. You're building your landlord's equity. So you might as well take your money and invest it into your own mortgage.
Yeah, make yourself rich.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And another benefit you get is a tax shelter. You can write off your mortgage interest, which is one of the tax deductions you can take. And honestly, the mortgage interest is such a huge chunk of your mortgage payment. Real estate tax deductions can be taken the year you buy the property, every year that you own, and even on the back end when you sell. Another huge benefit is this year, or actually at this moment, all interest rates are at an all-time low. I'm seeing some people get pre-qualified for 2.75%. It's crazy. You can have huge buying power right now as a buyer. And, as a renter, your rent payment goes up over time. Every year they raise your rent. But if you're buying a place with a fixed rate mortgage at a 30-year loan, your payments will stay the same over the life of the loan. You don't have to worry about your payments going up every year and all that
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
which is which definitely takes the worry out of that, right? Another benefit of being a homeowner is you have more control and say over your home. You do what you want when you want. Like I said, I tore down walls. I completely remodeled my place. Like as a renter, you have to ask your landlord for permission. I mean, as a renter,
You can even do it.
exactly, yeah, you may not even be able to do it. And the thing is, when a
Yeah.
landlord wants to sell the place, you got to move. So you don't have control as a renter, and as a homeowner, anything goes.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the biggest benefits, which I like, is that you can turn it into a money making asset for you. Like I said, when I do move into a house, I want to keep my place as a rental, so that it makes money for me that way. But I know a lot of people have other questions.
Right.
People worry, oh, well, I owe too much. I have a ton of nursing friends. I have my nurse practitioner friends who have student loans up the butt. I know people have they owe 100,000, 150,000 in loans. Well, guess what, guys? Lenders do not take the lump sum of a loan. They take only the minimum monthly amounts. They basically calculate their DTI by taking your monthly debt amounts, which are they include your credit cards, your minimum credit card payments, your loans, your car payments, and then they divide it by your total gross income per month. A general rule of thumb is your DTI should be about 40 to 45% or less in order to get approved. But I mean, there are different options that'll work in case your DTI is a little skewed. Oh, but Jen, I just started my job. Someone actually just asked me that a couple days ago. And, typically lenders look for at least 2 years of employment history, or in the same industry, but there are workarounds of that. Sometimes a lender will approve you on the strength of a job offer alone, especially for high earning positions like doctors, lawyers. Yeah. And then if you're in between jobs, you can still get approved for a mortgage. Lenders can approve you based on the offer letter. If you're starting at a new company, for instance, like if you're moving. And then I know there's a few of you who also don't have conventional employment. We've got self-employed people, you've got contractors and gig workers. There are loan options for you as well.
Yeah, the 1099 people.
Exactly. But Jen, I don't have savings. Yes, you do need money for a down payment and for closing costs, but there are definitely so many avenues for you to be able to find that money. I know a lot of you guys have been working for your company for a few years, so you have your 401k. As a first-time home buyer, you can borrow against that for your down payment. You can always get gift funds from your parents, or you can hit up your godparents. Hey Ninong, I'm buying my first place. I need some money.
You'll be surprised.
Oh, we have a question for you, Jen. They're
What's
asking, what is the lowest down payment that you can do?
Okay, that was going to be my next point, because a lot of people are worried, I don't have enough money saved for a down payment. Well, guess what, guys? You don't need 20% down. If you were or if you're active or previously in the military, you can get a VA loan. VA loans have no money down, so you don't need a down payment for that. There are FHA loans, and you only need as little as 3.5% down. And then there's also conventional loan options for as low as 3% down. There's so many down payment assistance programs. There's like CalHAFA. There's other ones where they offer up grants or low interest loans to basically help first time home buyers make the required down payments. You have the below market rate housing program where you can get basically a nice swanky townhouse in a building for less than everything else, because I mean you need specific qualifications. And then if you go new construction and you use their lenders, most of their lenders pay for your closing costs as well. So some of these programs have special requirements, but most of them are available to the general public. And the main takeaway here is that down payments are pretty flexible. Yours should depend on your monthly income, what you currently have saved, and how expensive the home is, and what your overall home buying goals are.
So we have some questions for you, Jen. Anne is asking, what's a good amount to have as a down payment or closing costs? and or both?
And or both. Okay, so I'm going to just give you an example with somebody that my most recent sale that I closed a couple of days ago. She put 10% down. She had 20% down to put down, but she decided to put 10% down so she could save the 10% for repairs to the unit. It didn't need a complete remodel. The house was actually pretty upgraded already, but she wanted to make a few tweaks and changes for herself. You would want to check with your lender because they've got to take all of your finances and, they're calculating your DTI. And most of the time, the extra 10% is only maybe $100, $150 difference, depending on your loan amount, right? It's usually most people like to save their down payment so that they would have money for savings or to put into the unit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's smart because when you spend money repairing or doing upgrades, then you're actually paying into the equity of your home. Like you're increasing the home's property value.
Right.
So,
And you have to save those, remember, because when it's time for you to sell, you can add all of those against your capital gains, just in case you make more than, if you're a couple, if your capital gains is over 500,000, like a lot of people now have that situation. They did not record all this home improvement that they did in the house over time. And you can actually, deduct those from the capital gains.
True. Yeah, not a lot of people know that because sometimes too, I have a client that whose home I'm listing in San Diego, and she might have to pay capital gains because she hasn't owned it for more than 2 years. But because she made some repairs to the property, she can offset some of the gain with the amount of money that she spent on the repairs.
That's right.
Yeah, so this one after 1 year, it's a long-term gain. And then if you've only owned the home for a year, then it's a short-term
capital gains. Yeah.
Yeah, short-term capital gain.
Right. But then, everybody then asks the next question. So why do people say you need 20% down? Well, it's because with 20% down, it gets you out of paying for something called mortgage insurance. And mortgage insurance is this extra charge on your mortgage bill. It often costs a few $100s a month. And so understandably, most buyers would rather avoid paying for mortgage insurance if possible. I actually know a few lenders that they don't pay or they don't charge mortgage insurance depending on the loan option, but that's something we can cover. We can cover that in probably our next episode because we're going to walk you guys through the actual pre-approval process.
And you can expound on those,
Yeah. But generally speaking, if you're going to be getting a loan with less than 20% down, you've got to pay the mortgage insurance. And so that's usually why people aim for 20% down. But there are benefits to just paying the mortgage insurance if it puts you in a home sooner. Think about it, it's one more cost versus the benefit to consider as you put together your home buying budget. So I guess one way to think about it is bigger down payment is a little bit of a lower monthly payment, but you don't have as much money in your savings, or smaller down payment. And with a smaller down payment, you can buy your home now and start building equity sooner. And you can keep more of your savings intact for emergency services. But then there's the $1 million question that everybody asks. But Jen, LA is just way too freaking expensive.
It is.
Home prices are on the rise. I get it. So you know what? Look for an affordable home right now. And that will build equity over the next few years. You heard Abby's story, you heard SB's story. They all started with a smaller unit. My first place was a condo. If you invest in the right starter home, it can basically give you the cash returns needed to buy your dream home in literally just a few years. So you can move on up. Right, Abby?
Yeah.
Right. So for those of you who are already homeowners and you're interested in buying your next home, I'm sure a lot of you have questions. So one of the questions I get asked is, should I buy my next home first before I sell my current home? Well, the answer to that is, it depends. If you find a home that you love, that's unique, and you want to submit an offer, and it just so happens that it has multiple offers, you can definitely, if you submit an offer as a contingent buyer, you kind of weaken your position, because basically what you're asking the seller to do is, oh, seller, can you wait for me until I sell my house? Even though you have all these other offers, can you wait for me? So that's not really advantageous to the seller, right? So
Right.
so if you want to submit an offer as a non-contingent buyer, you can do that too. If you're non-contingent, you strengthen your position because you can close within 30 days, usually for a conventional loan, or 30 to 45 days if you're doing a VA or FHA loan. So how can you be a non-contingent buyer if you already own your home? Well, you can contact the lender to see if you can qualify carrying both mortgages. This is beneficial if you plan to keep your current home as an investment property. You can rent out your current home and then buy the next one non-contingent. But as a rule of thumb, I usually don't recommend carrying two mortgages at the same time unless you know that your home is in high demand and it's going to sell in 60 days. Because a lot of sellers don't have the wherewithal to wait for their home to sell, and then it's like, oh, there's another 3,000 that I'm paying in the mortgage. It's like depleting my savings. So it all depends on what you can take or what you want to deal with. Okay,
Right.
so another question we get asked is, should I keep my current home as an investment property and buy my next home? Like what Jen is doing, she's planning to buy her next home while keeping her current house as an investment property. So you can calculate the monthly rent that you'll potentially collect and see if it's enough to cover your monthly expenses, such as your mortgage, your PITI, the property taxes, insurance, and also maintenance expenses like gardening, pest control, and pool maintenance. But let's say you need the proceeds of your current home to buy the next one because you don't have a down payment. Well, you have the option of you can take out a HELOC, depending on the percentage that you own or how much equity you have in the home, and use that as a down payment for the next one. Or okay, so you can definitely do that.
So a HELOC, just for the viewers,
Okay.
is a line
A
of credit.
HELOC, yeah, a HELOC is a home equity line of credit. So if you have, let's say you have 40% equity in the home that you have. Let's just say you bought a home for, oh, my lights turned off. Let's just say you bought a home for $1 million, and then you have about 400,000 equity. So that's about 40% equity in your home, and you can take usually the loan to value that lenders will accept is about 25%. So you can take that amount and then use it for the down payment on your next place. So this is a good way to build wealth. While you own your home, you have another home that you're collecting rent on, and that you're increasing your equity on. So that's why we decided to do this show, and Real Generational Wealth. We want you to be able to build wealth through real estate, and that's one of the ways to do it. You don't need a lot of money to do it, but nowadays it is. Who do you guys recommend for HELOC? Jennifer is asking, who do you guys recommend for HELOCs? So I would recommend whoever gets the lowest rate, whoever gives you the lowest rate. So Jennifer, you might want to check Pentagon. There's a Pentagon Federal Credit Union. They have great options for HELOCs. Also, Southern California Edison, they have a credit union. You'd be surprised. A lot of credit unions have very low rates on HELOCs. So let me just look at some of the questions. Okay.
Yeah, usually credit unions would be
Yeah,
able
they
to
have a
offer
for some
HELOC.
reason, credit unions, they
Although
have the best
sometimes
rates
they
for
would ask
HELOCs.
you to open an account with them.
Yeah, that's true. You're required to open an account with them, but it just takes a few minutes to open an account. So this is what Connie is asking: to be able to qualify for 3.5%. What are the qualifications for that? So Jen, this is probably a question for you. I think Connie is asking about
The
FHA loan. Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off, and I wanted you to finish your thing. I mean, so, well, So we were actually planning to talk about the pre-approval process next week.
Oh,
If you guys,
that's true.
yeah, if you guys want to,
Qualifications, I would just say have a 620 FICO score. They have somewhere you can qualify with 580, but
580, I
you
think,
need
is
a
the
bigger
FHA
down
minimum.
payment, not 3.5%. It's an FHA loan, but you would need a bigger down payment. Okay, so let me continue with some of the other questions. So, okay, so how does a lender calculate what I can afford? So a lender calculates what you can afford based on your debt to income ratio, your DTI. For the purpose of this exercise, we can use round numbers. Let's say, my lights keep turning off. Let's say your gross income is 10,000 a month. After your credit is pulled, your monthly minimum payments are 500. They add up to 500, like your car and your credit card minimum payments. So add that to your proposed budget of 3,000. That's 3,500. So that's a total. That's a debt to income ratio of 35%. Hey, and some people ask, how do I qualify for two mortgages? Well, the lender will add both of the mortgages together to calculate your DTI. And if your DTI is below a certain threshold, then you'll certainly qualify for both mortgages. Okay, so what if you want to rent out your home and qualify for a mortgage? Okay, this gets a little bit more complicated. So in a simplified scenario, let's say you're renting out your current property. The lender can only use 75% of your rental income to offset your mortgage. This is because there's maintenance costs, there's costs when the home is vacant. So that's why they use 75%, usually as a general rule of thumb. So if the home is free and clear, they will count 75% of the rent that you collect as rental income. If you're collecting $1,000 a month in rent and your mortgage and insurance and taxes or PITI is $1,000, oh, Connie had a question. DTI stands for debt to income
debt to
ratio.
income ratio. Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off. I just
Okay.
typed it in there.
That's okay. So the lender, so in this case, if you're collecting $1,000 a month, the lender will use $750 a month for rental income. So if your housing expense is $3,500, they would add the difference of the $750 and the $1,000 on top of that. You're making your monthly. So it makes your monthly expenses $3,750. That's increasing your DTI to 37.5%. Okay, we have a couple more questions. So I filed for bankruptcy. Someone's asking, I filed for bankruptcy. I had a short sale and my home was foreclosed. So you guys, can I buy a home again? What do you think?
Yes, most definitely.
Yes, definitely.
It's not the
You
end of
can
the world.
still buy a home. A lot of people get discouraged after they file for bankruptcy or they have a foreclosure. If depending on the loan program and the type of bankruptcy that was filed, the waiting period is usually 2 years after the bankruptcy has been discharged. So just check with your lender because there's a lot of variables in qualifying for a loan after bankruptcy. Okay, so someone put an offer on my home, but I haven't purchased my next property yet. I don't want to move twice. So what are my options? So a lot of people go through this because especially in today's market, homes sell very fast. Like they usually sell within the first 1 to 2 weeks. So what you can do in that case, so that you don't have to move twice, you can do what's called a concurrent close. This means that the sale of your home will close at the same time as when you purchase the next one. If you need the proceeds sooner, like the net proceeds from selling your home, you can close on your home, collect the proceeds, and do a lease back, meaning leasing the home back from the buyer, who is the new homeowner, until your home closes. So in this case, escrow will hold a couple $1,000s in your escrow account, and then they'll release the money after you move out and after you finish the walkthrough and the buyer signs off on everything. Okay, the last question we have is, I had COVID and I haven't worked for 3 months while I was recovering. Can I still buy a home? Yes, you can buy a home. One of my recent transactions, a client had COVID for about 5 months. So as long as you're back in the same job and you can provide pay stubs, the lender usually requires 2 pay stubs to show that you're making enough money to qualify. then definitely you can still buy a home. Okay, so my questions are done. SB, as an expert on seniors, why don't you tell us how baby boomers are able to purchase a home?
Yeah, well, after the last downturn that we had, there's a lot of baby boomers who have lost their home and have been thinking that this is not something that they can attain anymore because of their age. But actually, there are ways of doing it. First thing I can say, after 32 years in the business doing mortgage and real estate for these 3 decades, seeing up and down of the market, the most important thing is the desire. Once you have the desire, and you educate yourself, you find people who can educate you. It's so easy to get education. You can even go to YouTube. Even here, look at that, we're doing live stream. you know
To
Listen to
educate
people.
everybody.
That's right, listen to people who are willing to give you free information,
Yep.
and that is the how you can gauge who you want to work with. you know learn the process, get the basics, and have the desire, and believe me, you'll find ways. I have gone through buyers, a lot of buyers who are first time home buyers who have been investors, and now seniors. There are ways to find money. Seniors have the social security. If you are, maybe you are single, and you only get social security, and your social security is only like typically $2,000 a month. What is going on right now is the co-op living, or you have friends or family, like a brother or a sister, that both of you are empty nesters. If you don't own a home, you can buy a home together. So if you have like two
I
couples
love
who
that
are
idea.
all of them making 2,000, you have $8,000 there, and you can qualify using that income to purchase a home. If you are
Mhm.
62 and over, you can use a reverse mortgage. A reverse mortgage is an FHA loan. So you can use that as a purchase, where you can put a down payment of only up to 50, 60%, depending on how old you are. The older you are, the less money you have to put in, you know.
So
But
reverse mortgages are only FHA loans?
there are some that are not FHA, because the FHA is only up to a conforming
Yeah,
amount. But
that's true.
for people like here in the valley, if you want, or in Los Angeles in general, you want to buy $1 million home. So that's 500, 600,000. So there is a limit on the FHA loan, right? So there
Right.
are also reverse mortgage that are jumbo um,
I see.
reverse loans.
Mhm.
So when you get a realtor who can understand reverse mortgage and understand the transitioning of a senior, and you get a lender who is familiar with the reverse mortgage, there you go. You can leverage on using reverse mortgage. You can use other methods, that I use them in my workshops. I mentioned them in my workshops, and I give real examples of all these situations. And it's just so much to share in a 1 hour live. So,
That's true. Yeah,
yeah,
because a lot of people don't
Connie
know
has a
about reverse mortgage or
right.
right,
the details involved. So
right. Reverse mortgage right now is getting to be a more popular way to purchase, especially if you are, 62 and over. Okay. So it can also be for a couple who are, let's say, the wife is younger and the husband is older, like 65 years old or 75 years old. They can still qualify on a reverse mortgage up to a certain point. So again, education is the most important thing. Getting to know the details of it, asking questions. That's the thing.
that's
So, yeah. So I can say there's another way of buying a home as a senior is co-op living or group living. I mentioned that earlier. You have a best friend that you hang out with.
You can
I
party all
would
the time
rather
together.
I would rather live with maybe some friends of mine, because we are like-minded and we have fun. So you can group together and buy a 4-bedroom house and share the house all together.
Yeah.
Or I have another client of mine that they're siblings, and what they did was they bought brand new 55 and over in a 55 and over community, and they're all right next to each other, owning ranch style home, and but they're right next to each other, you know, so that if they need each other's help later, somewhere down the line, they're right next to each other, but still have their privacy of having their own kitchen, their own
Mhm.
bathroom, their own privacy.
Their own
Yeah,
space. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Connie has
So,
a question, SB.
mhm.
Do you think this year is the best year to buy a home and why?
Well, I would always say now is the best time.
Yes.
When you have the desire and you want, it's that's the time to buy. Okay, whether the market is so high or the market is maybe probably we're looking at foreclosure or because of the forbearance, deadline. There can be a lot of opportunities to buy, these kinds of homes right now. But I would say over time, the best time to buy is when you feel like you have a desire. Okay, when you have a desire, you find solutions.
That's
Okay,
true. Yeah.
so if you find a dead end, at least you found out.
Yeah.
You found out, oh, this is a dead end. So now you know what to do. But if you're just thinking about it, wishing about it, and say, oh, my FICO is not good, I don't have the money and all that, and you don't educate yourself, then you're not going to go anywhere. It's just going to be a desire,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Yeah. Because if you find the right person who's going to help you and coach you, you'll be surprised on where the money is going to come, because there are different ways of getting in. There are
Right.
different ways of finding out. I just told you my story about I assumed a VA loan, and I didn't even know that you have a loan there's such a loan as assumable loan. you know there are different ways. Finding the right person to coach you, the right realtor that will spend time to help hold your hand and give you the education is the most important. That's the gem that you can get, if you want to be a homeowner this year. There's
That's
different
true.
ways.
And
you
even
know
if you're not ready yet, based on your situation, we can guide you or advise you on what to do in order to become a homeowner. Like even
yeah,
if it's a year down the line, 2 years down the line, you never know. But it's good to plan ahead of time and work with a realtor so that you can take those next steps before buying your home, so that
right.
you're ready.
I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of the clients that I actually sold, who bought their first home in 2020, they were the same buyers or the same people who contacted me years ago who were like, well, I'm going to wait till the market drops. I'm going to wait till prices go down. I'm going to wait.
A
I'm going
lot
to
of
wait.
people
I'm
say
going to
that.
wait. And
Everyone
guess
says
what,
that.
guys? The longer you wait, the prices kept going up. The nice thing is the interest rates went down.
Yeah.
And, actually one of the biggest things a lot of people would say to me was like, well, what if we crash like in 2008? It's not going to crash like in
Not
2008.
gonna happen.
Loans now are nowhere near the way they
the
were
way it
doing
was.
Yeah,
substandard loans back
yeah,
then.
they're pretty strict just to
Yeah,
buy.
I mean, you need to make money now. You need to show income, and people have equity that they're putting into their homes. Um,
Mhm.
so and I mean, the thing is, if you bought at the height of the market in 2005, 2006, before the crash, and you held your place till
Yeah.
now,
Hmm.
Yeah,
and
you
like it
still have
crashed in
equity.
2008. Yeah, your
Hmm.
property value is worth more now than it was at the height before the crash.
That's
That's
right.
So,
true. Yeah.
so I mean, as in general, home values constantly they go up and down, but in general, they appreciate over time. So they'll go up and down, but they always go up and down in like an upward motion. So that's the
Hmm.
reason why we always say buy now. Buy now, start building your equity now, and
Hmm.
3, 4 years, 10 years from now, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I have so much equity in my home, and you'll be able to buy bigger than you even thought you could.
Like,
So
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I have 200,000. Wow.
Yeah.
It would be
Yeah.
hard.
Or, even like you can buy a fourplex and live on one,
yeah,
you know,
Oh yeah,
and get
that's
income on the
smart.
three other units, you know.
Mhm.
So then you have income, right?
Yeah.
So that's one example. For seniors, there's different places where you can move. People are moving now, the trend because of the COVID. There's a lot of people who are moving out of the big cities and they're going to the suburbs, which is a lot cheaper. But because of the, working at home, people in New York, they're moving out. People in Bay Area, even here in Los Angeles, they are moving to more suburbs where they can buy bigger homes, nicer
Texas.
homes, cleaner homes,
Yeah.
brand new homes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Like in Riverside, I was able to sell a home that is like 10 years old, 3 bedroom, 2.5 for 360. Single family
Wow,
home.
that's really good.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So if you're working at home anyway, it doesn't really matter. So what I can see, I can project for this year is that the work practiced is going to change. It's going to change dramatically. So our traffic, our issue about, going to work and how we're going to work is going to change. Our lifestyle is going to change a lot. And there's
Um,
always, people are painting about what happened this year or last year as really grim, but there's a lot lessons learned during this time.
Amen.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. Like,
yeah.
even for my husband's work, it taught them that you don't have to spend a lot of money on office space. You can
Mhm.
just have the people work from home, and then the company will save money on the office
Yep.
space.
That's
Um,
right.
Connie
Mhm.
has Connie has a question. She said right now, or she has a comment. She said right now we're renting 2,000 monthly and would like to own a home someday. So that's about the average of what people pay for rent every month, right?
Yeah.
For an
Mhm.
apartment. So if you're paying 2,000 a month for rent, every year you're paying 24,000 to your landlord instead of paying
Mhm.
yourself. Instead of building your own equity, you're building your landlord's equity. That's $24,000 a year, that you're spending, and then you're not getting any
No
benefit from
deduction.
it. It's
You're
going
not getting
to,
it back.
you don't have, you're not getting the tax shelters, you're not deducting the interest expense. So, Connie, that's something to consider. So definitely get in touch with one of us if you want to buy
We'll
your
help you.
home.
We'll definitely help you. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that was a lot of information tonight, ladies.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. If anyone
Yeah.
has any other questions, come on, we welcome them.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. But I mean, to top it all off, I think the overlying thing is that's why it's so important to find the right realtor to help you with their home buying process. Even before
Hmm.
you start house hunting, you want to make sure that you get the right guidance and the support from the very beginning. So as always, let us know either in the comments or you guys can message us. We'd love to help you and answer any of your home buying questions, and basically help you become a homeowner in 2021. Like I mentioned earlier, next week we will be covering the pre-approval process.
Yay,
So
can't wait. It's probably
yes,
gonna
we
be longer
will.
than an
It'll
hour.
be a little, yeah.
That's
I mean,
right.
we would love to walk you guys through all the loan options so that we can make sure that you
Mhm.
can prepare yourself so that you can qualify for a home this year. And other than that, that's about it. So thank you guys all for tuning in, and we will see you next time on Real
Yes.
Generational Wealth.
Thanks
Have a good
everyone.
night,
Bye.
Thank you
guys.
so much for listening. Remember,